The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild changed the Zelda formula up quite a bit. And as a result, there's a void forming for a more traditional Zelda experience. While indie games have always borrowed from the series, they no longer have to compete directly with the juggernaut that is their inspiration. A Knight's Quest is one of the first to capitalize on an audience hungry for a more traditional Zelda game. For the most part, it provides the exploration and puzzles it promises, although there are a few hiccups that get in the way of making it a complete triumph. We get a pretty boilerplate story featuring Rusty, our young devil-may-care protagonist, who's adventuring in an ancient cave. He's in radio communication with Valley, Rusty's smart, thoughtful, but awkward friend. They're in search of treasure and something called spirit energy, which Rusty had willingly unleashes en masse in his quest for riches. This spirals their kingdom into disorder, so the mayor asks the duo to find the Spirit Knights, a trio of legendary heroes who will save the kingdom. A powerful force of three, if you will. In all honesty, the story has some clever dialogue and delivers a few good laughs. It pokes fun at how predictable it is while throwing in a few novel ideas along the way. There are quite a few characters you'll meet on your journey, and they all have unique personalities. In fact, Rusty and Valley are probably the least interesting characters, simply because they're filling such well-worn roles. There are definitely jokes here aimed at a more adult audience, which is kind of surprising considering the colorful cartoon aesthetic. And aesthetic is definitely where Knight's Quest excels, as the world is varied and colorful. The color palette is reminiscent of Banjo-Kazooie or Ratchet & Clank, with more medieval architecture. You'll be venturing through dark caves, open green fields, and rocky deserts on your way to save the world. Each area feels unique with region-specific obstacles and lots of verticality. There's a good reason to go around exploring too, because there are secrets and collectibles hidden everywhere. The great visuals are paired with an equally great soundtrack that absolutely captures the Legend of Zelda vibe. A Knight's Quest attempt to capture the classic Legend of Zelda feel is admirable, but does fall a little short of success. Things begin to falter when you're asked to perform intricate platforming. Rusty has a weightlessness to him that never feels great. It makes it hard to gauge jumps and even harder to land comfortably on small, sometimes moving platforms. This weightlessness also carries over into the moment-to-moment gameplay and combat, although it's much less frustrating there. There are also levels and areas with large swaths of empty space, requiring you to just run through them without much interaction. This contrasts heavily with some other areas that are dense with structures and life. It's an odd mix that kind of permeates throughout most of the game. I'm not sure if it is just a limitation in scope, or simply a matter of certain areas being given more attention. At any rate, the unevenness begins to stand out over time. By deliberately trying to mimic The Legend of Zelda, A Knight's Quest shows just how difficult that can be. It nails the formula, look, and sound, but doesn't quite nail the feel. A floaty main character and uneven atmosphere begin to stand out more and more as the game's novelty wears off. In the end, A Knight's Quest does an admirable job of making light of its obvious inspirations. And while it can't compete with its legendary forebearer on all fronts, its colorful world and attitude are a welcome diversion in today's gaming landscape.